Hello, beautiful people. I am so excited to talk to you about how to live a truly free life today. My name is Kiara O'Leary. I'm a divine change agent, and today I want to talk to you about how we are trapped inside of our lives and how we don't go after our goals and we feel like we're stuck where we are. But that the very reason that we think that we are trapped is not the real cause of our limits in our life. So often when I hear people talk about something that is their dream, they're like, oh, I would love to do that, but I've got kids. I would love to do that, but I don't have the money. I would love to do that, but I have a job. And people like to explain why they can't do certain things or go after their dreams or like just make their life the one that they wish that it was. And they like to explain that by like these 3D reality reasons, but actually so often the real cause is fear. So they might say, I can't do that because I have this job, for example, but it's actually that they're afraid to take a risk or afraid of what their colleagues would say if they did. It is fear behind so many of the limits that we perceive that we have in our life. And I say this because I just had a morning of like recognizing fear and taking action despite the fear anyway. So that's what inspired me to share this with you. So I had a friend call me last night, and then I'll tell you the story from this morning. I had a friend call me last night, and she was talking about a situation in her life. And I said, I feel like the biggest, scariest thing for you right now is and explained it. And I said, so if it was me, I would run towards that, not away from that. The biggest fear in your life right now, I would run towards, not away from. And I also said that I would love her no matter what she did. And I do the same to myself. So sometimes if I feel fear and I'm like, I don't think I can do this one, then I give myself compassion and love and wait until I am ready. I don't push myself. But the number one practice that has shifted my life completely from feeling trapped, from feeling like I have to meet other people's expectations, and from feeling like this is all that is possible, the number one thing that has shifted that has been meeting my fear and taking action despite my fear. So this morning I had an experience where I was walking through the forest and I felt like I was being guided to have a conversation with someone about something, and my head was like, I don't think so. You don't need to have this conversation. You can just clear it inside of yourself, and like all this stuff. There's such a huge discussion, and I felt like internal misalignment. I could feel that I wasn't living in congruence with what my truest self wanted to do, but I couldn't figure out at that point which one it was. And so I did step one of the thing that has changed my entire life, which is I identified what is the fear. And step two is do the opposite, but I'm going to stick with step one for now. I identified that when I was thinking of making this phone call, that I felt scared, like a scared little girl, but and raw and vulnerable, but alive. And then when I was thinking of not making this phone call that scared me, I felt righteous and justified and logical, and like my mentor would be proud of me. And it was a much more logical, longer explanation with a lot more words. And then it's like the other voice was just like, cool, that's it. And so I was sitting in meditation and I said, fuck it, I'm just going to call. And everything inside of me, just like the voice that was trying to get me not to call, just disappeared, and I felt expansive again. And so that is how I knew which one was the right decision for me. And so another day, it's not whether you call or not call. Like, I really feel like I always need to say this. The moral of the story is not always make the call. It is to identify how you feel when you're thinking of either option, and to use that as your information and your data to make the decision. So the one that makes you feel trapped and like you must do it because other people expect it of you, and the one that talks for longer, that's usually fear. And the one that makes you feel more expansive and lit up and alive, even if it scares you, but it still makes you feel more alive and open, that one is the voice that I choose to listen to. So step number 1, I identified what was the fear. And step number 2, I did the opposite. So when I realized that the fear voice was telling me not to make the call, I made the call. And I was scared. I was really scared, but I survived the phone call. And I got off the phone call and I cried, and I let my little girl cry and feel all of her fear. And I had compassion for her, and I loved her, and I was so proud of her for making this brave choice. And so I invite you, the next time that you are feeling like fear is keeping you somewhere, I would love for you to decide which voice is fear and then do the opposite. So the way that I feel it is like, if I'm listening to my fear and I'm staying stuck in my fear, then I get tired because I know that there's something that I really need to do, but I'm avoiding it. Or I can take lots of action, which I get very little results from, because I'm taking lots of action in the direction, like in all of the things that are inside of my comfort zone. And we are far more rewarded by the infinite if we take direction towards what it is telling us to do, and outside of our comfort zone. But so I feel fear as like, we are open, limitless, infinite potential, and then there's these fear gates, and we put up all these blocks to what we think is possible for our lives. And here's a block, and here's a block, and I can't go any further than this. And those fear gates, on the other side of that, there's like open expansion and limitless potential. And that is how I feel every time I take a really fucking scary, a guided piece of action. When I want to run the other way and it terrifies me the most, and that is when I do it. And that gate opens up to way more than I could have imagined on the other side than if I stayed inside of this like fenced in area and kept doing all of the action. I get very little results. I make one phone call, open up the gate, and everything feels possible again. What you think is trapping you is not the real cause. Really, it's your fear. And if you do the opposite of your fear in a really loving and compassionate way, then truly anything is possible on the other side. I hope that this serves you on your own journey to becoming one with your own infinite potential and fearlessness. I don't know if I'm going to get to fearlessness in this lifetime. That would be amazing. But what I do know is that I am never, ever going to let fear stop me again. And I think that's pretty much the same thing. Sending you so much love on your own journey. Bye for now. And I would love for you to share in the comments what resonated with you about this. Where have you felt fear and you've been holding back, and now you're going to do something different? Like, take action within the next 5 minutes. Right now, as soon as you finish watching this video, take the one piece of action that scares you the most. That is how you get results from watching this video. That is how you get results from anything that you ever learn. Any course you ever go to, any coach that you ever have, you must take the action as well to back up what you're learning. Sending you so much love. Bye for now.